Well, here goes nothing. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore, that's amore. When the stars seem to shine like you've had too much wine, that's enough. Hi again, it's Tim, your living sky guy from the Paris of the Prairies, beautiful snow-covered Saskatoon. And that's as much singing as I'm going to subject you to. Why am I starting to sing about love and the moon? Because I want to talk again about the moon. But I don't want to talk about that big pizza pie moon. Instead, I want to talk about that little thin sliver of crust that's left over uneaten in the pizza box. Or more specifically, the thin crescent moon. And why do I want to talk about the thin crescent moon? Because something really interesting happens on the nights or mornings when we have those thin crescent moons. And it's a little phenomenon known as earthshine. So what's earthshine? If you go out either just after the new moon in the evening or just before a new moon early in the morning, and you look up and you see that very, very thin crescent moon, look even more carefully to the part of the moon that's missing. And if the lighting levels are right and you're not in an area where there's a lot of lights around you, you may just see a hint of detail in that shaded area of the moon. And that hint of detail in the shaded area of the moon is a phenomenon known as earthshine. To explain it, let me explain a little bit about how the moon goes through its phases. As I'm sure you've all noticed, we go anywhere from that big pizza pie full moon to those very thin crescent moons and everything in between. And why the moon changes its face throughout the month has everything to do with its position in its orbit around the Earth, as it goes around the Earth every 29 and a half days. Now, when we're looking at a beautiful full moon, the position of the Earth, Sun, and Moon is what creates that full moon. In the case of a full moon, we have the Sun right here, we have the Earth right here, we have the Moon right here. And the Moon, what we're seeing is the Moon completely and totally illuminated by the Sun. Now, when we have that quarter moon, where you're only seeing essentially half the moon, then what's happening there is you got the sun here, you got the Earth here, and you got the moon over here, or over here, depending on the time of the month. So we're only seeing it 1/4 illuminated. To us, it looks like half, but it's called a quarter moon. Don't ask me why. When we're talking about that thin crescent moon, well, then what's happening when we're seeing the thin crescent moon? The sun is here, the Earth is here, and the moon is here. And as the moon gets closer and closer towards the sun, that crescent gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And what we're seeing when we see that thin crescent moon is the part that's being illuminated by that sun. But if you take a closer look and the lighting level's just right, you will see that earthshine, where you're seeing some details in the area that's not illuminated by the sun. So if it's not illuminated by the sun, what is illuminating it? Well, as the name implies, when we talk about earthshine, there's the hint right there. It's the Earth is illuminating that shaded area of the sun. Well, of course, the Earth itself does not create light, but it reflects light. So what's happening is that sunlight is coming all the way across, hitting the Earth, and then bouncing back like a reflector towards that moon 250,000 miles away. And the Earth itself is illuminating that shaded area. Now, to the naked eye, it's usually not that visible, but with a camera, that's when you can really bring out those sort of details. Normally, if I'm taking a photograph of the moon, I'm using a very short shutter speed, usually something like a 2/50th or a 1/25th of a second, because it is so bright. When I want to photograph earthshine, then I'm going to stretch out the exposure. I'm going to lengthen that shutter speed. And how much I lengthen it, it's going to depend on the lighting level at the time. That's where bracketing exposure comes, trying different shutter speeds. So instead of doing a 125th of a second, maybe try 1 second or 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, until you get the exposure you're looking for, and then you're able to capture that beauty of the earth shine. But of course, the part that is illuminated by the sun will be incredibly overexposed. But there's nothing you can do about that. But the earth shine itself looks so much more magical because of it. So yes, that full moon is amore for some people. But for me, I always find that that thin crescent moon and that phenomenon known as earthshine is even more magical. And for me, that's true love. If you want to continue on this voyage of discovery with me, please click on the subscribe button. And you can also follow my personal exploits on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for Living Sky Guy. Clear skies, everyone.